One of the first things that struck me was how it can be lonely in the beginning. When we moved to his internship, we didn't know anybody. And even our neighbors, I got to know the back of their heads as they would pull in their garages at night and as they back out in the morning. I actually had somebody say to me, hey, and to my friend, we just want to let you know something. We might not try to get to know you really well because it really hurts when you leave.
I hear this debate sometimes. People will say, you just need to stay in the same town. Never move, because that is the way to be stable, build solid relationships, consistency. And then other people will say, that's not my life. And they're usually forced into moving around via the military or something else. But often those people will say, even though it seems like a good idea to be consistent in the same place, they found that they're really good benefits. The real question here is, after you've been moving around for your whole life or a large chunk of your life, how do you grow a community in a town that you haven't lived in the whole time?
No.
Carolyn Ritschard did that, and she helped other people build community at the same time.
Yes, and we have our newsletter, which is votw.substack.com. If you have not checked that out, please do, and please follow. And this is Carolyn Ritschard of Adopt an Airman.
When my husband put the uniform on, I was all in and didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Neither one of us did. But we just saw it as a team. So we kind of did things backwards.
Okay.
So he joined when he was 31. I was 29.
Okay.
He was finishing his PhD in clinical psychology. And I got my PhD, putting hubby through. You know how that goes. I was working as a physical therapist for 7 years leading up to that. Okay. We'd actually gotten married in New York, and 2 years later we moved to California. So we had been married 7 years. We already had a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and another baby on the way. And he had to do a postdoctoral clinical internship. Okay. It's quite a process.
Yeah. It's quite a thing to say.
Yeah. And he had the option of working in a civilian hospital. They would have paid him $10,000 for the year with no health insurance benefits. And I had been the breadwinner for all those years and was kind of ready to work just part-time, stay home with the kids, raise the kids. And one day I said to him, hey, whatever happened to the Air Force? And no kidding, he reached over into the trash can and pulled out a flyer. And he said, well, look at that. The recruiter that is going to be talking with the psychologists that are interested in internships is going to be here this afternoon. So that's actually
really?
Yeah, how we started. So, but we went in to the Air Force thinking, oh, we'll do our internship, we'll do our 3 years payback, and then we'll get out. Yeah. But we had the most amazing experience in the Air Force that we ended up staying in for 23 years. Okay. We had 11 moves, lived in 8 states and 3 foreign countries. We went into it, life's about relationships, aren't they? Mm-hmm. And probably the most rewarding thing was supporting one another. Mm-hmm. And that passion kind of fueled us. So from the get-go, we're like, hey, how can we as a military family support the other military families and single airmen that were stationed where we were? And so we did things like, oh, somebody's birthday, bring in muffins. Somebody's having a baby. What can we do to support them? Take a meal. Somebody's having surgery, same thing. We had people over our house all the time for meals, single airmen. Over the holidays, we always had people over. Exactly. In fact, one of my most memorable Air Force stories was we had lived in Wiesbaden maybe 3 months. Okay. And we lived in a stairwell. So it was families. We had 6 families in ours, and there was a firewall, and then 6 families. And so we had 18 children among all of us under the age of 5. So we got to know each other quite well. Well, like I said, we had been there maybe 3 months, and my downstairs neighbor knocked on the door. Her husband was out in the field, and she said, I think I'm in labor. So I took her to the German hospital, which I'd never been to before, and I didn't speak German. And I coached her through the labor and delivery.
Wow.
And as you can imagine, that was quite a bonding experience. But that's just what Air Force families do for one another.
Did you have any moments where you moved when you were in the Air Force and it just didn't go so smoothly?
There was one year where we did not live in 3 states. We didn't live in 3 countries. We actually lived on 3 continents. Wow. And so we moved from England on July, I think it was July 28th. Yeah, it was my parents' wedding anniversary to Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
And then on June 28th, the following year, we were back on a plane and we moved from Alabama to Japan. The move to Alabama was challenging because we had amazing relationships, both Air Force relationships in England, but a lot of close friends in England. We lived in the community and had developed a lot of close relationships. So it was hard to say goodbye. It was hard for my kids to say goodbye too. But when we got to Alabama, we got married in 1986. We had been using my parents' dining room table and chairs. Actually, the one that I grew up eating at. Wow. And so we had finally bought our own dining room table and chairs. And it was English oak that we bought at like a thrift store, but in England. Yeah. We were really excited about it. It was beautiful. And we'd bought some oak bookcases too. Well, they dropped the crate. So as stuff got brought off exactly. As stuff got brought off the truck, and broken glasses, broken all kinds of things. But when I saw the crack down the middle of our dining room table, and the very tilted, cracked bookcases, I kind of lost it because it was already a challenging move.
For those who have not been in the military, who are listening, who don't really understand what it feels like to move into a new area, you have some people, maybe, hopefully, that you know in the Air Force, and then some people you don't know, you're getting to know in the Air Force, but it's a brand new place. What does that feel like for you, for your friends? And then maybe we'll even get to a new generation. Yeah. Because I'm sure it's different today.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good question. I guess the first thing that comes to mind actually is our first Air Force move. We were at Andrews Air Force Base, so when we were living in a very heavy military area right outside of Washington, D.C. And one of the first things that struck me was how it can be lonely in the beginning. When we moved to his internship, we didn't know anybody. And even our neighbors, I got to know the back of their heads as they would pull in their garages at night and as they back out in the morning. I actually had somebody say to me, well, I guess I can tell this story. I told you that I had been working full-time as a physical therapist for years. And so I had, 2.5-year-old and a baby. And I decided I was going to do something I hadn't done before and be able to go to a daytime women's Bible study. So getting out the door with a 2-year-old newborn in the morning is a bit of a feat. But I got to this Bible study, and I was going with a brand new Air Force friend. Her husband was also doing a medical internship. I didn't know her very well, but we decided we're going to go together. And we were talking with people, and I made a mistake that I didn't realize was a mistake. I said to the civilians, gals that were there, we're here for a year. Yeah. So at the end of this Bible study, these women came up to me and they said, hey, to my friend, and we just want to let you know something. We might not try to get to know you really well because it really hurts when you leave. And I thought, this can't be. This just must be them. And so I went back the next week. And sure enough, I think it was just going to be me and my friend. People were kind of afraid to get to know us. So I realized, how lonely it could be.
I want to go back to, so you and your husband are in the military. Let's go to the point where you said, we need to build something? Because it sounds like you're supporting other military members while you're in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that happen?
So you're talking specifically about the Adopt an Airman program?
Uh-huh.
That's a great question. So my husband retired in 2016.
Okay.
And it's more of a transition than you realize because you have this instant community when you're in the military. And I was thinking to myself, how do I continue to support the military, but now on the civilian side? And how do I've had these experiences, how can I continue to use them? And I wasn't quite sure. Let's see, my husband retired in June of 2016. So in December of 2016, one of these two gals called me. Her name is Denise Rampolla. So she was the head of the Military and Family Readiness Center. I guess it was called Airman and Family Readiness Center then for the Guard. She was also on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And she said, hey, Carolyn, would you be willing to join the Military Affairs Committee of the Cheyenne Chamber of Commerce? And then I got another phone call from another honorary commander, and her name is Desiree Hannebach. She's a realtor in town. She said the same thing. She was the incoming chairman. Wow. Would you be willing to join the MAC? So I thought, wow, this might be a way to continue to support. Mm-hmm. So I had an idea of doing a cookie drive for the airmen in the dorms, only doing it at Valentine's Day. I'd done this before when my husband had a couple of other commands. Again, we're retired now. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have the communities supply the cookies? So in the past, when I'd done cookie drives, it was all the spouses making cookies for the airmen in the dorms. But this would be different. It'd be the community. And in 10 days, the community donated 350 dozen cookies for the airmen in the dorms. Every airman got like a half a dozen cookies. And from that, I learned how much the community is looking for tangible ways to support airmen. But also something else very interesting happened at that event. And these three first sergeants come up to me and they said, hey, Miss Carolyn, can you help us with something? And I thought, well, that's an interesting question. And they said, how can we get the airmen out of the dorms and into the community? And I said, well, gee, why don't we do what the Air Force Academy does? My son went to the Air Force Academy, and they have something called the Cadet Sponsorship Program. And for that, the cadets are matched with community members downtown, get them out of the, off campus and provide that support. And I said, well, we could call it the Adopt an Airman program.
So the first random
So it was
name.
totally random. Yeah. It was totally like on the fly.
Okay.
But I love the idea. And they liked the idea too. So I thought, well, gee, how are we going to make this happen? So I had a friend. He was on the Chamber Board of Directors. He was on the Military Affairs Committee. Very welcoming person. Huge heart for the military. You are going to know this name when I say it. He is now the mayor of Cheyenne, Patrick Collins. So I talked with him about it. And we also talked with the then wing commander. Her name back then was Colonel Stacy Jo Huser. She is now the 2-star general living at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, who's in charge of all 3 missile wings. Talked with the 2 of them, and then it was a 1-year process. Had to go through legal review. But the cool thing was, 1 year later, at that same cookie drive, we were able to launch the program. So
you had to work with the Air Force?
Yes.
And
the
collaborate
Chamber
with
of
the Air
Commerce.
Force and the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, they both had to approve the program. Yeah.
So you pulled some people together?
And
you looked for a need. The need came to you.
The need came. Huh. But what was amazing was it aligned so well with what our passion was since 1993. Like I said, my husband wore the uniform, but we were a team, and our goal was how can we support people, and not just in his official capacity as psychologist, but life's about relationships. How can we make a difference and walk on this journey together? The chamber contacted me and they said, "Hey, we've approved the program. Why don't you gather up a group of people and write the program, and Yeah, so that was it. I'd never done anything like that before. So
How did that feel? Were you like excited, but oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? Or was it just like, I've got everything together?
Oh yeah, no. I was excited. I was inspired. I had kind of tracked it for the whole year. I would check in. Patrick was probably like, "Oh, Carolyn, are you bugging me again?" But I was like, "Hey, how's it coming? How's it coming?" But when they said go, I was excited. I was nervous. But I automatically thought of different people to be on the committees. So when the program first started, we have the privilege to be able to speak to the incoming, basically, class of airmen.
Okay.
And we do that all the time now, which is a huge privilege. But one of the first classes, an airman raised his hand after we had given our presentation and said, so we always ask, "Hey, what are we missing? What are you guys interested in learning? What are you interested in doing?" And an airman raised his hand and said, "I want to learn how to rope a cattle." So that took me by surprise because we have airmen that, we have airmen that arrive and they don't know how to drive. So their host teaches them how to drive, or, they want to learn how to cook, or, they want to learn how to hunt and fish. But rope a cattle, that was a new one.
Perfect.
Yeah. So again, the program was new, and I had a friend I talked to about the program, but she had not taken the leap yet.
Okay.
So I went out to my car, and before I even turned it on, I called her and I said, "Hey, Andrea, I have an airman that would really like to learn to rope cattle." So she said, "Sign me up." Well, then 2 months later, I had another airman. He raised his hand and he said, "I want to learn how to rope cattle." And I always give the airmen an opportunity after a presentation to come talk to me one-on-one, because sometimes they want to share something more personal. They don't want to raise their hand. And we had one airman that came and said, "Hey, I'd really like to be matched with a family that has history of adopting children," because he and his wife were interested to do that. So I chat with him afterwards, and I said, "Well, we actually have a family," and he kind of interrupts me. He goes, "Yeah, their name's the Allens. They're matched with a buddy of mine from tech school. He told me about the program before I even got here." So we did that match. Well, the Allens have 2 kids, and one of them, their son Cole, said, "Hey, I got a friend. I really want you to meet her. I have a friend. You really need to meet her." Well, finally, they met. Flash forward a few years, and he married that girl.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing. There is a lot more to that story. Some really happy, some really encouraging, some very, very sad. But I did get pictures when the airman did rope his cattle. I did get to go to that wedding. The Allens have been steady hosts in the program all the way through. They have had, I don't know how many airmen. They may be the family that's had the most airmen through the years. I'm not sure. Their airmen love them. They're very warm, welcoming. Just include them. They include the airmen in life and what they're doing. And they've continued to stay in touch with their airmen through the years. They went down to one of the airmen's graduation from tech school. Their airman has come back up. Their airman has since, the one that got married has since had a baby. They hosted a baby shower. But one kind of poignant story that we probably don't have time to talk about, but I can tell people where to look it up. But it just emphasizes the impact of meaningful relationships, is that of mental health.
Okay.
And, we've had some airmen that have said afterwards, I was in a really dark spot, and, my host family really helped me. And we don't always see those signs of struggles, but the family that I'm talking about actually is Shane and Andrea Allen, and they have something. I started a foundation under very difficult circumstances. It's the Cowboy Cole Memorial Foundation. I just encourage people to look that up. It's raising mental health awareness and suicide. This family is an example of people who have continued to invest in others in spite of real tragedy and hardship, that really understand the importance of meaningful relationships to help bolster resiliency.
Super cool to see how, we all have our own stories, and see how her story very much built her and her family, and and her nonprofit that she has. Like, just you can just see the steps, and it can be very hard, especially when a lot of hard things or live an unusual life. And then it's very easy to see the downsides of that. And hearing her story, realize that her moving a lot, her meeting a lot of new people, seeing a lot of people suffering, but as well seeing other people kind of suffer similarly, helped her have a heart and to be able to truly empathize and help those people. And I mean, for one, it grew her family. Her kids are doing really well. And as well, it's helped her start this just really, really important nonprofit that's doing really good things in our city, and seeing a need that not any normal person's necessarily going to see. So I feel like her story was really important to see.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Important to see. Yeah, I don't know if this is kind of what you're saying, probably a little different. I really like your points. It was important to see. One of the things I love about this podcast is we talk to different cultures, different races, different generations.
Yeah.
And Carolyn, one thing I love about younger generation is the honesty, and like, I don't feel like it right now, or I do feel like it. Just this like, it's a one trend that I think has a lot of truth to it, is like, I just don't want people right now.
Yeah.
And that's really good, to be honest. On the other hand, I really like how she was willing to, I don't know, just like, she was so willing to connect with people and continues to connect with people, and realizes that, like, we need people.
Yeah.
Come on, we need it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you certainly have your moments where you just need a knot. But yeah, again, that older generation that she's like, oh, I'm gonna people.
Yeah. I'm gonna people.
So as y'all are peopling, I hope you people well.
Yeah.
And until then, my friends, happy sailing.
Nice.